Alright, just sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
A little bit different, but they had more success.
Both good. They were both very, very good.
Right. Well, from a money standpoint, they had
but
more
he
success.
was Sam Darnold. I Can't Drive 55 was not,
If Sam Darnold could have played guitar, then that would have been a different story.
See, I think it's like David Lee Roth was Joe Montana.
Right. Aging Joe Montana. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it was more like 1, 2, 3 lockbox.
Look at the little Tula. She's talking to the producer. Talking to a cat. And a woman in a jumpsuit throws her a grape.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, August the 30th, 2023. Jersey Johnny coming at you with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Howdy. Hello.
How are you, Pete?
I'm good. I'm on the road. I'm almost home, but I'm following a Mr. Softy truck.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
So I may need to cut out for a minute or two.
Did I ever tell you the idea I had for a cartoon and like the New Yorker magazine, that cartoon, like the one full page cartoon kind of thing, like a drawing.
Right.
It was Viagra billboard with a Mr. Softy truck crashed into it. So I thought that would be pretty.
Oh, very nice. I get it.
Never drew it though. Never drew it. So, yeah. Harry, maybe you could draw it.
Sure.
Why not?
Get another idea, and I'll draw it right up.
All right. On that note, then, all right. Let's. Oh, that's the wrong background. There we go. There we go. On that note, let's bring in our guest. We have a guest. It's our NFL Kickoff Show. As we do every year.
What?
Our NFL Kickoff Show, as we do every year. Yeah, NFL season.
Oh, man.
Is coming up, starting.
Our guest today is none other than Fran Tarkenton.
Fran Tarkenton is coming on with us. He's going to give us his predictions for the 1970 season. And right. There you go. All right, now please welcome to the show. He's been on before, Mr. Al Gattullo, former ESPN.
Well, hi, everybody.
Hey, he's got his Bubbles glasses on.
These are my prediction glasses.
There you go.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see if they help.
Make everything look good.
There you go. That's perfect. Love it.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good. You?
Well, not too bad. And it looks like the locals feel like they've got something going on, right? Both the Giants and Jets. Advance a little bit, which is good.
That's good.
Speaking of Jets.
And Mr. Softy is running away from you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Telephone Pete is at LaGuardia.
He's apparently driving down runway X.
He's racing somebody from Southwest Airlines right now.
Exactly.
The team is flying in, and I'm here to meet them on the tarmac.
To your point, Al, I think that the Jets, there's a lot of excitement about the Jets. Mm-hmm. Is there a lot of excitement about the Giants? I think it's tempered.
It's tempered about the Giants,
right?
But
because the Giants had an interesting, obviously better than they have in many years season last year. But it's hard to wrap your head around where they stand.
On paper, they got better. The offensive line is better. The defensive line is better. The receiving core is better.
Right.
The running backs are at least the same, right? But
we did not go from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers.
Well, this is true. I mean, if you're comparing apples to apples, it doesn't.
That's what I mean. There's so much. It's so much more of a national story. The Jets right now. Right. Of course, Aaron Rodgers coming out of his ayahuasca retreat and deciding to go to New Jersey. So, hey.
I do think the Jets seem to be the sort of team that the Mets were at the beginning of the season. Like, look, we've got Scherzer, we've got Verlander, we've got all of these pieces, and we're making a run for it. And Verlander getting hurt early on, not having your closer, a couple of these things sort of, rolled, and the team didn't really gel together. You could make the same argument that the Jets are sort of doing that. Like Woody's like, okay, well, we don't care about the guy we drafted 2 years ago. This is the guy that's going to lead us to the promised land because we don't think the other guy that we took is worth it. And maybe he's right. But Aaron wants to win a championship. He has stayed relatively healthy for most of his career.
Right.
The biggest question mark for the Jets is really their offensive line. Can they hold together and protect him? As long as they can do that, you got Dalvin Cook running the ball. You got a defense that swarms. I mean, the way they played the other night against the Giants, and it was their first stringers, and granted, the Giants had a lot of their second stringers in there. They swarm to the ball. So in a competitive division where you've got to be on your toes, the Bills are good, the Dolphins are good, the Patriots, don't count them out just because they have one quarterback and nobody else. But, Belichick's there for a reason. He didn't walk away when Brady left. So it's going to be tough for them. But if, one or two pieces go by the wayside, the Jets could fall apart. I think the Giants, I think it's sort of half and half. I think there are some pundits who think Giants will certainly have a better season than last year. They want a playoff game. They need to improve. They paid their guy. They their quarterback in Daniel Jones.
Right.
Barkley is still there. You've got a couple of little pieces here. They should be markedly improved. I honestly think that they're the second best team in the NFC East. I think the Eagles are still number one. I think they're number two. And I think it's the Cowboys and the Redskins when you really look at, or the Commanders, excuse me, when you really look at it. So I think there's more improvement for the Giants.
I think that the ceiling is higher potentially for the Jets. I think the basement is much lower for them as well. And I think the Giants had a consistent team. I think they've improved on it, like both you and John said. Look, I'm looking forward to this season for the Giants. I think they've improved, hopefully. I think the same question holds true for the Giants. That offensive line, I mean, you could fill in the blank on any team. Is the offensive line going to allow these guys to do what they do? And,
but the difference is, I think the difference is between the Giants and the Jets is you have a quarterback in the Giants who's mobile. Jones can move for a big guy. So, yes, you need a line to protect him, and you need somebody to protect his blind side, but he can be elusive and escape. And if Barkley plays the way he did last year, that only helps them. That's a net positive for them. The Jets, on the other hand, it's a little different. Rodgers is not, he's nimble, but he's not going to be, running 20, 30 yards. The bigger problem for the Jets is they're opening 6 weeks. I mean, think about it. They open with the Bills on Monday night. Then they go to the Cowboys. They host the Patriots. They host the Chiefs. Then they go to Denver to play the Broncos. Then they're back home to play the Eagles. And then they have the Giants at the end of October. That's if they only suffer 2 losses in that time, that's great for them. But that you could easily see them, being below 500 by the end of that. By the time they face the Giants,
you could say the same thing about the Giants, with the exception of the Cardinals. It seem like they're kind of tanking for the first pick. Yeah, Giants got the Cowboys, Seahawks, the 49ers, the Dolphins, and the Bills. That's not easy.
No. It's not. But
that Giants-Jets game could be really decisive for both teams.
Could be
at that point.
But I could see the Giants winning the first 2 games. I could see them beating the Cowboys. I could see them beating the Cardinals.
Right.
Maybe play tough against the 49ers and lose, but that's a game that might be winnable. The Seahawks, I can't see them winning or actually that's a home game.
That's a home game.
Maybe
a home game.
But I don't think so. The Dolphins is sort of a toss-up. So, but then you got the Bills, then you have the Commanders. So, but yeah, I mean, it's you could say either or, but I think the pressure is more on the Jets to make a run than it is for the Giants.
Oh, absolutely. There's much more pressure on the Jets than there is on the Giants. The Giants can go. They were 9-9 and 9-7-1 last year,
right?
Because they had the one tie with Washington. The Giants can do that again, or go 10-6 or 10-7 or 11-6. And have a phenomenal year, right? They're still probably going to have a wild card, and what have you. But the Jets go 10-7 or 11-6. It's going to be a disappointment, right? They should be winning the AFC East. They should be going deep into the playoffs, if not the Super Bowl. So, I think for Jets,
I don't think anybody has. I don't think most people expect them to be better than Buffalo.
They don't, but they do, right? They don't, but they do. In reality they don't, but hey, you know what, this is their turn, right? They put the pieces together. They put the right pieces together. They went out, Woody Johnson went out and said, okay, I'm spending money, we're making this happen, let's do this, get all the pieces they needed to get. They have the defense that they have. I mean, they've never had, even go back to the 69 team, all right, and all of us were pretty friggin' young then.
Well, I wasn't even here yet. So,
whatchamacallit, back to the 69 team. This is probably, with the exception of, defenses in the 80s, right? This is probably the best all-around team the Jets have ever had.
I don't know, the Parcells team that he took to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, it was good, but still, this is probably, and if you're including coaching, that's a big part of it too. But take the coaching, just the players on paper.
They got a lot of skill players. They got a lot of skill players and a great defense. Yeah. And look, maybe I'm looking at the Giants' schedule, and I could easily see the Giants winning 2 less games than they did last year. I don't think the Giants are going to. I think it's going to be a struggle for them. I think it's going to be harder for them this year to get into the playoffs than it was last year.
I don't know about that. I think the fact that they don't play the Eagles until the very end of the season
that helps.
Actually helps them a little bit.
That helps.
That's 2 years in a row now they've done this, or 3 actually.
Right. But for the Jets, they have 2 divisional games in the first 3 weeks, and then they don't play anybody in their division until November when they play the Jets in Buffalo. And then they host the Dolphins. Then they get the Dolphins a couple of weeks later. But they don't have any divisional games after September 24th. They don't play anybody in division until November 19th. So for me, if I'm a Jet fan, it's essential to get those first 2 out of the way because you don't want to be behind the 8 ball trying to win your division, and you haven't won any divisional games yet, and it's already November.
Right. You're 0-2 in the division, and now it's more than halfway through the season,
right?
And you got to start picking away at those other 4 divisional games,
right? Because you could make the argument that the Bills could beat the Patriots and Dolphins, pretty handily in their first, whatever. Because I don't have the schedules in front of me, but you could see that they could beat those guys very easily, and now you're. You may be playing competitively, but maybe you're a game or 2 behind Buffalo, and you've lost to Buffalo already in that first one. So that's why it's important, those first 2. If anything, in the first 3 games, the Jets need to come out of it 2-1. And if they lose to the Cowboys, that's fine, but you've got to beat the Bills and the Patriots there in those first 3 weeks. Otherwise, listen, the Chiefs game you could already mark as a loss because I can't see them competing against Kansas City at home.
Stranger things have happened, though. That's like Chris Berman. That's why they play the games, right? I can see them. No. I can see them beating the Chiefs, and losing to,
the Raiders.
That's the kind of thing the Jets are well known for.
Right.
Winning a game that they have no business winning, and then losing a bunch that they should be at least.
And I'm not saying, and I'm not assuming that Buffalo game is a must win, but
the first game,
point taken. Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't expect them to beat Buffalo.
I think it's definitely going. Well, you know what? They can, right?
Well,
they did last year.
If you're talking to Jet fans,
they did last year in Buffalo with Zach Wilson.
Right.
If you're talking to Jet fans, and they're looking at the season, all right, it's a brand new start. We've got our guys and MVPs.
Right.
This, that.
I get it. It's important.
They want to win that first game. That's a statement.
And it's at home.
Yeah. And it's a Monday night. It's more so that, Al, than the Buffalo game's like secondary, right? It's important, but it's that first game. It's that first game with Rodgers, that first game at home, so forth and so on. It's that first game.
You don't want to sink the joint at.
Right.
On top of the fact, it's 9/11.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be watching that game. That's the game that, they all the pomp and circumstance and, and everything else. And, I get it. It's a horrible day for a lot of people, but that's why you have that game on Monday night. That's why you put the focus on it. It's New York, the whole thing.
That's Rodgers is the story. Rodgers is the LeBron James of the NFL. There can't be a segment on First Take where they don't mention his name, and so it's just all eyes and the pressure that come along with that are going to be on Rodgers. I think he can handle it, though. That's my point.
Yeah, I think he can. But but then throwing it back to the Giants side of things. That helps the Giants because it sort of takes the pressure off of them.
Absolutely.
They eke out a couple of wins or a couple of losses, in that first month. You don't want to see the losses, but if they do that, they're sort of, if the Jets are winning or the Jets are losing spectacularly, either or, the Jets are going to get the back page as opposed to the Giants. So that could benefit them.
It benefits. It does benefit the Giants to some degree, obviously. Yeah. So, you know what? Pressure's on. Some players, obviously, pressure's on Saquon, right? Because he wants a contract next year, so he wants to do well again. And he doesn't want to do that, but pressure's not on Daniel Jones. I don't think he's going to just sit back and rest on his laurels that he got his contract, but he had more pressure last year than he does this year.
100%, but nothing to me indicates that this guy is going to hold back. I don't think so either. I don't want to compare him to Eli in any way of throwing the ball, whatever. But personality-wise, I will compare him to Eli because I think he has that same mindset.
It's why the Giants drafted him.
Yeah, I want to go in, I want to do my job, and go home. That's it. He's got that singular focus. He's not about the nightlife and this and that and whatever. He just wants to focus on his job and win games and help his team. And that's the attitude that you want, for your quarterback, no matter what city he's in. But you're in the biggest city in the world. You want to put a good impression there. The issue with Saquon, he could have a great year, and the Giants could still go, guess what? We're giving you the same offer.
Yeah, it's nothing personal to Saquon. It's just the state of running backs right now.
Right, and to me, the Giants hold the hand here. They can franchise him again. He gets a little bump in salary. He can bitch and moan. But at the end of the day, if he's seeking more than what they were offering, he's out of his mind. Unless he runs for 2,500 yards, has 30 touchdowns, and is all over the field and
brings the Knicks to the NBA Finals.
Yeah. Right. I mean, what burns me about the whole thing. Listen, he's an athlete. He wants to make as much money as he possibly can. I understand it completely, but he doesn't recognize the market for his position, and his agent or agents. I know he was changing stuff or whatever this that. I think they ill-advised him. The offer they gave him last year during the season was a legitimately good offer and was better. And then they said, hey, look, this is our final offer. Here's the deal. Okay, well, I'm not going to sign it. What is the incentive for the Giants to come back with even more money? Right. He's got to do twice as much in order for them, to give him some ridiculous amount of money.
Right, and comparable to other running backs, arguably as good or even better than he in the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought he was treated even better. I mean, what's going on in Indianapolis is just it's ridiculous.
But he would have been top 3 in pay.
Right.
I mean, maybe he was bitching a little about the bonus money. I mean, that's where you make your money anyway. So okay, you know what? Whatever. So it was a couple million less. You were still making bank.
Yep.
Right. I don't get it.
I don't get it. Quick aside, not to derail the conversation, but speaking of Eli, you brought Eli up. Did everybody see his tweet from yesterday?
The license plate.
The license plate one, yeah.
That was hysterical.
Here, I'll throw it up. I don't know if you guys saw it. Here we go. Right there. We'll share it on the Facebook page. So,
but he captioned it with, "I can't believe Peyton got this license plate for his car."
Right.
So
that was the caption.
Thought that was brilliant. Brilliant.
So there you go. We'll throw it on the Facebook page. Anybody that is just listening to the audio podcast, you can go see it on the Facebook.
By the way, that's Daniel Jones's car.
That's well, there you go. All right, but yeah,
and it's parked in Aaron Rodgers' driveway.
It's parked in Aaron Rodgers' driveway in Cedar Grove.
Exactly. Some house he bought.
I'm gonna crack a beer. You guys don't mind, do you?
Anything to make this go longer.
Anything, right? I know. Exactly. So,
well, look, Pete, I want to ask you, what as the resident Jets fan here, and more of a Jets pessimist, I would say. Yeah. What are your expectations?
A resident pessimistic Jets fan.
Here. What are your expectations for this season?
Well, I think, as I've said before, half jokingly, it'll be great until Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. And not that I wish that for him, obviously, but my biggest concern, I think, Al, you said the same thing, is the Jets.
Did you say if line. Or when? Did you say if or when? That's the question.
No, he said if. He said if.
He's pretty.
It'll be great. It'll be great until he gets hurt.
Rodgers is pretty resilient.
He is. Yeah. He is. But we're talking about the Jets here, and
right.
But again, my concern is the offensive line and getting some people back, and that's all well and good. But we know injuries, and I'm not sure about their depth. They've got to keep him upright, and Dalvin Cook is going to help, and hopefully Breece Hall is going to come back and be strong.
And I think that was a great
game.
I thought that was a great pickup too. I mean, not just because Dalvin Cook. I mean, in and of itself is great, but the fact that you can bring Breece Hall back now slow, and they can, they can swap the duties slowly, and or even Dalvin Cook can stay where he is, and Breece Hall can increase his duties. So,
but to Pete's point, if you don't have a line that can block or a line that can hold to give Rodgers time to throw, that's going to be a problem. That to me is the one weakness of the Jets.
That's the biggest.
And if they're not opening holes for the running backs, then you're going to be throwing the ball, and then which is the way offenses are now. It's throw first, run second anyway.
But you know what's funny? I see this Jets team being a defensive juggernaut early. I think teams are going to be surprised at how quick they are going after the ball.
It's amazing how they swarm.
I was really impressed Saturday night in that first series. I mean, they were just all over the place. Like, no matter what happened, whoever took, Tyrod Taylor, I don't even think he got 2 steps and he was getting swarmed and rolling out of the way. So if the Jets can keep up that pressure on the defensive side, creating turnovers, creating points, maybe they give themselves a cushion where the offensive line doesn't have to, oh my God, we're behind.
Right. Now the offense needs to score 10, 14 points a game and they're winning.
Yeah, so that's
because
the
defense is scoring 7 or 10 points a game.
Or at least just holding, that's how the Jets are going to beat the Bills. It's not that they need to put up 31 and win 31-30. It's that if their defense can keep the Bills in check, and then they can maybe win it 17-14 or 14-10 or something like that.
Right.
That's how I think the Jets are going to beat high-powered offenses, not by outscoring them as much as their defense holding them down. And then, of course, you do have Aaron Rodgers and some pretty good offensive pieces. So, but to me, that's their formula for success. Is not scoring 30, 35 a game. It's not having to score that many points a game.
Right.
I think it would be easier for Jets fans to digest if the division was a little weaker. If not every team in the division was a perennial playoff team at this point. I mean, let's face it, all 4 of them could very easily make the playoffs, even if they were in other divisions. Only one, possibly 2 are going to get out of that division. So it's competitive. That's why I think it's more important for the Jets, because all of the attention is on them. They've got to get off to a good start, get a couple of wins under their belt, and maybe give themselves a little bit of a cushion going into October in case something does happen and they can roll off of it.
Yeah, that is an ugly, ugly schedule.
They do end the season with Cleveland. So.
Right.
Yeah, well.
Watch them lose that game. Man.
Well, Cleveland's look, it's the NFL, right? You can't.
There's a lot of parity in the NFL. If you take the 2 top teams and then everybody else there's not a lot. Every schedule is pretty tough.
Does anybody think right now, before the season starts, that the Chiefs aren't going to be the team that comes out of the AFC?
Of course they're going to be.
I do.
The Chiefs, I think, you're looking at, I think you're looking at 1 of 4 teams, right? You're looking at most likely the Chiefs.
Nobody's repeated in so long. It's hard.
Right. So don't look at, the Chiefs repeated, but they lost.
I'm saying winning a Super Bowl.
And winning, they were there 2 years in a row is my point. But,
right, I understand.
The Chiefs.
So were the Seahawks.
Obviously, sure. But, I just mean recently. But
Colin Cowherd didn't even know that the Seahawks didn't play in the AFC anymore.
It's been 20
years.
He's like,
oh, yeah, I could see them beating out the Chiefs. Everyone, I'm sorry. They moved a long time ago.
It's like 20, 20 years, Colin.
The bright lights were in his eyes.
That's right. That's what and the Astros are going to be favored in the National League.
The National League, right.
Oh, yeah. Watch out, Atlanta.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But, to your point,
nice little NFC West and a NL West reference there. So
yes.
But to your point, John, I think you're going to say the 4 teams, probably the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, and
the Jets.
What
were we going to say?
Yeah. I think
no.
Yeah. I said the Chiefs. I was going to say the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, and the Jets.
Here's the one reason why I think the Jets slide up a little bit. And you know how much I love the Bengals.
It's pretty good beer.
There's a big question mark over the Bengals with Burrow's health. So, that makes things a little tough.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the NFC, it's 2 teams, right? And one stands head and shoulders, I think, it's the Eagles again. So why?
Right. It's the Eagles unless you're in Texas. Then it's not.
Well, but I think it's the 49ers after them. And quite honestly, the Eagles were a shitty. The Eagles were a shitty call away from winning the Super Bowl. So I don't count them out.
I was going to say I think the Cowboys. Well, look, you ask every year the Cowboys are going to Super Bowl, right? Cowboys fans every year the Cowboys are going to Super Bowl. So
so let's not discuss it.
Right, exactly. Well, there's a pseudo Cowboy fan on the podcast here, but in any event, he's a Jets fan at heart. But sorry, Pete. Anyway,
but when there's not enough torture,
and he
puts on the blue and silver,
and
not the Lions.
I got to pick a team from the NFC to root for.
We just need to change that star to a lion.
But it was the 70s. It was the 70s.
It was the 70s, right, of course.
So those were slightly better days.
Right.
So you were at Studio 54 a lot. Yeah.
But I think the Cowboys got better.
Clinksdale were
there you go. You got the Cowboys got better two incrementally better because of two things. I just had this conversation today, that's why I'm bringing it up. They got better because they traded for Trey Lance. Mm-hmm. So now they have a better backup quarterback if that gets hurt.
He's not even their backup. He's going to be the third stringer.
Third stringer, right? Yeah. That'll change. But they got rid of Zeke.
Yeah. So, but one of those
addition by subtraction.
Right.
So, but
still,
short of that, there's still a train wreck. There's still Jerry Jones, right? 2 words, Jerry Jones. End of story.
Jerry Jones is his own worst enemy. Their coach is he's okay, but really, aside from the one Super Bowl, what else has he done?
Yeah, and he did. I think Aaron Rodgers had a little bit more to do with that victory than Mike McCarthy did. So.
But I also think that the Cowboys have become the team where great coaches go to die, because if you look at it over the last. Even the last 20 years. When was the last time they won a Super Bowl? 94?
Since Jimmy
96?
Johnson.
95 season. 95 season, February.
Even 96. Parcells was,
right.
Well, it's the curse.
Look at how many coaches they've had since they made the Super Bowl.
Stupid, right?
And I can't even remember their names.
Yeah.
What were they?
They promote idiots. They promote
Barry Switzer, but it wasn't. They didn't win. They wasn't in spite of Barry Switzer. That was Jimmy Johnson's.
That was Jimmy Johnson's
players. Yeah,
right.
100%.
After Barry Switzer was Wade Phillips. Then it was Bill Parcells. Then it was what's his face? Redhead.
Opie.
Yeah.
We blocked it. We blocked it out.
I did. Well, I was the Giants offensive coordinator for a year.
I couldn't remember his name either.
Garrett.
Ron Howard.
Whatever. Ron Howard. Right.
Yeah, Ron Howard.
He's on Sunday Night Football now.
Right.
He's horrible there too.
Yeah. He smiles too much.
He does.
He smiles too much.
He's from Monmouth County.
Right. And he continually makes Tony Romo look smart.
Right. But it's hilarious. It's hilarious how every time he's breaking down a play, he's like this. Yeah. So this is good. Yeah. Can you lose the smile? You got the job.
He's okay. He's bordering on John Gruden territory as far as being.
Well, listen, Gruden's got emails. He's got ammo. He's coming after the league hard. If some of this stuff gets out, I was watching the interview the other day with on the Rich Eisen show with Don Van Natta was on talking about the story that him and Seth Wickersham did. If it's true and the judge allows discovery in this trial in Las Vegas,
the
NFL's in a lot of trouble.
It's going to be interesting. Jason Garrett, by the way.
Jason Garrett. That's it.
And now Mike McCarthy. But yeah, it's I think it's like the curse of Jerry Jones firing Jimmy Johnson.
Well, because Jerry doesn't allow his coaches to run the team. Essentially, Jerry thinks that he's the de facto coach. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen him at Giants games, and when the Jets have played them in their home at MetLife, he's got his little cup. Or his big cup, his little sippy cup that he's drinking, the whole day long, and he's the only owner that I know that after a game when the Cowboys win, and I'm in the winning locker room trying to get a player back in the day when I used to cover the teams, he's the only owner that the press lines up around him in the locker room so he can hold a press conference. He's giving out injury updates and this and that. And I'm going, isn't that the coach's job?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And the Dallas media, they're all around him, taking note, this, that. So can you let the guys who you've hired to coach actually coach?
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem I have.
That is the problem.
John Mara, you see him, he goes in the locker room, he talks to the player, comes out, he says a few words to us, walks away. That's it. He's not part of the story. The Tisches do the same thing. They talk to, some of the celebrities they've had there at the game. They go in, they talk to a couple players, they walk out.
That's it. They walk out. That's it.
The only one who's hounding the owners is Steve Serby from the Post.
Right.
He's always trying to get, tickets for this or whatever. Blah, blah, he's always working an angle. But otherwise,
Exactly.
It's amazing. Woody, you can barely see. He runs in the locker. He's got a little jet hat on, whatever. But again, Woody's another one. Hands off. Let my guys do the job. Jerry Jones doesn't let his personnel do their jobs, especially in the draft. He thinks he's some expert. I mean, look at him.
I know. Well, he's the GM. He's the head coach. He's the owner. He's Bugs Bunny first base, Bugs Bunny second base, right?
Right.
Dave Scardino just wrote in. He answered before we actually looked. Garrett, right? I know. And then he said, now just get rid of Dak and we might win. He said he's our resident Cowboy fan, and he agrees with all of us when it comes to Jerry Jones too, right, Dave?
But isn't that the thing about the Cowboys for the last 25 years? They get a great guy. Oh, he's the best. They're all full of, we're winning the championship this year or whatever. And within 2-3 years, they sour on the guy, whoever it is, whether it's quarterback, running back, defense, whatever, and they get rid of him.
Yep.
Like Tony Romo, for as great as he was as a Cowboy, right? They put this guy on a mantle. The guy never won a championship. He never won a playoff game. He's getting paid $1 gazillion, to do games on CBS.
He was the old Dak.
Right.
But this is the new improved Dak.
Right.
He was the old Dak.
My problem with Tony is in his first 2 years when he was doing games, he was calling every play left and right. And it was great because it was
obviously a smart guy.
Yep.
Right. To understand defenses and calling them out and whatever in this and that.
He was explaining the plays as they were developing before things even happened. They were like, he knew what was going on.
He's a less annoying and Dan Orlovsky. Yes, that's who he is.
Right. But now that he is so many years removed from the league, teams are changing up things. He's not really sure of himself anymore. He's made a lot more mistakes. I think he is coasted by with his knowledge. I think he needs to get back in and sort of study a little bit more instead of playing the amateur pro-am and sort of work on his craft a little bit, because he would be very good because he was remarkable those first 2 years. I mean, that's why they promoted him to the number one team.
Right.
I would also say that I'm sure there were plenty of notes that he got from network executives, which are always a terrible thing, and that probably caused him to change his style a little bit.
Make it less inside baseball.
Not going to blame it all on them because you're right and absolutely right. But when you have a good
mashed
thing,
potatoes on the floor and make it
when you have a good thing in television, the thing that always screws it up is the network heads who think they know how to make it better, like a good head coach who thinks, or an owner who thinks they're great at the draft.
Here's one thing I will say about Dallas: they have, I think, the best defensive player in a number of years in Micah Parsons.
Yeah, it's too bad that we had a GM. Giants had a GM.
Here's what I'm going to say: I think that Dallas is just one of these teams that is good. They're going to have another good. They're going to win 11 or 12 games. I hate to tell you this, guys. They're going to win 11 or 12 games, and they're going to lose in the playoffs again. Yeah. So
that's the one thing for Dallas. They're competitive. They keep you involved for most of the season. They're never out of it by Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving game is always a big game for them because it's puts fans in the seats. They know they want it every year, and you're right. They eke out just enough to get there, but then it seems like all the gas is spent in the tank. It's almost. I don't want to compare them to the Yankees because the mission statement for the Yankees every year, switching it to baseball for a second, is win a championship. They're not happy with just getting there. They want to win it.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that too, but the colors are actually remarkably similar.
That's true. But the Cowboys, on the other hand, they seem to be like, all right, we've got there. I'm tired now. No, the real work begins in January. You got to step it up another notch. They don't seem to do it. So
the Cowboys
we made the playoffs. It's time for golf.
Let's face it, look, the Cowboys have until recently also had the luxury of playing in a division that was not as competitive as it has been in the most recent years. So, you get 2 games against the Giants, 2 games against Washington, 2 games against an Eagles team that up until recently was not, there's some parity there always, but that helps, and so they're not, I don't think they have the consistency of the Yankees. You can't win every year, obviously. In the Yankees, it's been a long time. But I do think part of what's another analogy with the Yankees is I think that ownership, in this case, too much ownership with Dallas and not enough with the Yankees, they're lost. So much like Tony Romo, they don't have that great filter anymore to make the magic moves to get the talent in there. And I think that's hurting both franchises.
It's interesting that you say that. I was on a radio show yesterday talking football and baseball, and the question was asked about the Yankees. Is Brian Cashman gone? Is Boone gone at the end of the season? And why hasn't Hal come out and just spoken either to the team or to the press or to the public and say, look, we're really sorry we didn't do well this year, whatever, much like what Steve Cohen did with the Mets after the trading deadline and say, look, we screwed up. We thought we had it and we didn't, which I thought was the right move by Cohen. Hal is not his father. And I think some people think that Hal is going to be a mirror of his father. His father was George's whole thing was about getting on the back page.
Right.
In the 80s, he was pissed because the Mets were on the back page all the time. Between 84 and 89, the Mets were on the back page constantly, and he wasn't, and he was incensed by that. So it was sort of, no, we need to be out there and in the open, and he would, say outlandish things and do outlandish things and make trades, that would, move the needle, right? Because he wanted the attention focused on his team. Hal is not like that. But I do think at some point now, and I think it's this year, Hal has to step up and say, look, I'm pissed. We got a big payroll. I'm disappointed. Changes have to happen. I would love for him to say, get these analytic books and throw them out the window. But then
I would love everybody to do that.
They went from irrationally impatient with George to the most patient organization in the world. That it took an entire season for them to finally do something about Josh Donaldson. It took 10 years to get rid of Gary. Look, and they have
less
to get
than that, but it felt like 10 years.
They have to get rid of Cashman. He's not doing the job. And George,
you know what though? Here's the funny thing. I think the only way Cashman leaves is if Cashman decides to step down. I just don't see it happen.
I think Hal doesn't have enough knowledge and wherewithal to, shaking his boots after, unless somebody comes along and says, hey, I can do this. And he's convinced by, somebody else comes along and says, hey, hire this guy because he's going to get it done for you.
Ask Aaron
Cashman,
Judge
it's Cashman's
how good
team.
you're performing.
Hal just writes the checks.
Right. Yeah. But I don't think Hal wants to fire Brian Cashman. I think Hal is very happy with Brian and what he does for the team. And I think unless Brian decides, you know what, I've had enough, I've done what I want. But I think Brian wants to try and win another championship with this team, and then I think he steps away. The bigger problem is Aaron Boone, because – and you know what? I can't even blame Boone anymore, and here's why. The orders come from
upstairs. Worse. There's worse out
there. There is, but the orders come from upstairs. Right. And you know how you see it? You see it with Buck and the other team that plays in Queens. Buck is a guy who plays with his gut. He has not done that this year.
No.
He's done
it last year much more than he did this year.
Yes, and I think after last year, I think they sort of told him, all right, Billy Epler sort of said, we know what we're doing. We're smart, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, you've got probably, in my opinion, the best manager in the game in Buck Showalter. He knows his players, loves his players. He can relate to the younger ones. He deals with the veterans well. And I feel like they've neutered him. And they were a different clubhouse this year. They didn't gel. They didn't come together. They sort of didn't have all the pieces of the puzzle. Last year, they were all chatting with each other in the dugout and trying to get tips and this and that. You didn't see any of that this year. No. So things have changed.
27 different guys sitting there this year.
Baseball and sports in general, there is no time for patience anymore. There's no long game in this. And that's why the Dodgers and the Astros and the Braves are good, because mid-season, I mean, the Braves won a championship by getting a whole new team at the trading deadline. That was the Yankees. Now they do nothing.
The difference between baseball and football is this. In baseball, if you suck one year, you could just go out and spend more money the next year and get the pieces you need. In football, you can't do that. Yeah. You've got to stick with what you have. And how am I maneuvering the cap?
Here's the guy. There's your point. So here's the similarity. The days of just being able to get an entire roster full of stars are over in both sports. So you have to get the key players at the top end, and then you have to find those gems at the bottom that can fill in those other roles and help you win a championship. And that's where the Yankees suck.
Yep.
I'm gonna flip it back over to football for a second. Dave Scardino just wrote back, and he said, "If the Cowboys don't get to the NFC Championship, Prescott and McCarthy are gone."
Maybe McCarthy. I don't know about Dak. I mean, are you really think? Who's their backup now? Scooter Barnes or what's his name?
Scooter Barnes. Cooper Rush. Yeah.
Harry, I agree with you. I don't think Dak is gone. I absolutely, I absolutely think that that McCarthy could be gone.
I thought McCarthy was gone 2 years ago. It's like when he was back on the sidelines last year. I was like, I thought he got fired.
I agree. If they don't get to the NFC Championship, I agree with Dave. If they don't get to the NFC Championship, McCarthy's gone. However, Prescott isn't going anywhere because as much as Jerry Jones loved Troy Aikman at the time, and as much as Jerry Jones loved Tony Romo, Dak Prescott's his son, basically. The only
way McCarthy's getting to the NFC Championship game is if Dak Prescott shows up in the postseason.
But that's just the thing.
He might.
At the inductions, the Hall of Fame inductions earlier in the month. The first thing they did in the pre-show, they were interviewing Jerry Jones on for 20 minutes. They were sitting there, Kurt Warner, Rich Eisen. They weren't saying a word for 20 minutes, just listening to Jerry Jones spout on and on and on about the Cowboys. And he was talking only about he was talking about but he wasn't even barely talking about Haley. So whatever. But it was in his team then, so who cares, right? That's what that's about. But he said on national TV that he thinks the next Cowboy, the current Cowboy, that will make it first to the Hall of Fame, hands down, he said Dak Prescott. I'm like,
wow,
what?
Well, here's the thing though. I'm looking at Dak's contract right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was 4 years, $160,000. It included a $66,000 signing bonus. In 2023, Prescott earns a base salary of $1.7 million, a restructured bonus of $29,300,000, carrying a cap hit of a little over almost $27 million, a dead cap value of $89 million. They can get rid of him next year, but they would take a $61 million hit on the cap. There's no way they're getting rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
No way. He's sticking around.
He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
Okay, so let's stop talking about the Yankees and the Cowboys now. I have a question.
Go for it.
I want to know why the San Francisco 49ers feel that Sam Bradford Darnold, as I have come to know him,
is the better backup
better
quarterback?
Second banana than Trey Lance. What have they? It can't be from games he's actually played, because Darnold has a larger sample, but it's terrible. And Trey Lance has a tiny sample. What have they seen that makes them say, okay, because this is a Super Bowl or bust year for them, right? They are built. They've taken all of their eggs, save one, and they put them in Brock Purdy's basket, which is also a small sample size, but it's a pretty good sample. But they've taken that one egg, which right now, with Brock Purdy healthy, that's the first one you'd crack to make an omelet. If something happens to Purdy, that egg in Sam Darnold's basket becomes the hopes and dreams of the franchise. Why do they think that Sam Darnold is a better second option than Trey Lance?
I think because he's been around the league enough and played in enough teams that even though his sample size isn't, successful, they feel like he has more experience than Trey Lance.
And durability too. I mean, Trey Lance, in their estimation, is brittle.
So,
Brock Purdy could get hurt.
Do they think it's Trey Lance's health? I mean, didn't they trade 3 draft picks in order to move up?
So Trey Lance is the Ben Simmons of football.
Well, okay, right. It was
There's
a reach,
something
right?
going on there.
It was a reach.
Let me finish. San Francisco, we always joke, he's a systems quarterback, This is a system. They truly believe that they could stick a leaf blower in there and win 10 games. And they might be right. I don't know how they do it, but they do.
But did they find out from practice that Trey Lance is the one guy who can't fit into their system?
I think what they realized is that for the benefit of him and the team, They don't want that friction of that big of a draft pick there, who was the starter, who was the reason why Jimmy G wasn't starting, to be on the sideline. I think that their decision is that Darnold can fit into the system better, and if they have to go out and get the next Brock Purdy off of waivers, they will. That is how the 49ers think about quarterback. They really do.
I don't disagree with that. I was thinking, honestly, a kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, but I was kind of thinking that they realized that Trey Lance might be heading direction brilliance-wise, if you will, of the last quarterback that came out of North Dakota. So Carson Wentz. But and they figured cut ties sooner.
Their former quarterback, Jimmy G.
Or that guy, yeah, exactly.
But I'm just saying, if Purdy has a terrible sophomore slump, or he gets hurt,
Darnold's the guy.
Darnold's the guy, and he's not leading them to the Super Bowl.
No, but he'll win 10 games.
Shrinking.
But with that system that Harry's talking about, he may not win
but you
14 games, but he can still get them.
They're as much a Super Bowl contender because of their defense
Absolutely.
as their offense.
All of these teams that we're talking about
that window is closing.
Yeah.
So if Purdy doesn't work out, and Darnold is probably not going to work out, well, then you're back to square zero, where you're going to have
to. Clearly, they didn't think Trey Lance was the guy. Otherwise, they would have kept him and cut Darno. I mean, that's
right. Right. I also think that San Francisco they're not the best decision makers.
No, it seems like they do a lot of things right, but not with the most important position on the team.
No, they don't care about it. Or else they would have stood up for, what's his name over his controversy Kaepernick and had him back in there.
I'm just curious.
Wait. The Kaepernick thing, he gambled on himself.
Absolutely.
He had another year on the contract, and he said, no, I want more money. And
Right.
realized, oh, wow, I really am a shitty quarterback. I don't buy that. The whole thing with Kaepernick, everybody's screaming about, the guy was not a good quarterback.
No, I agree. But is he better? He's better than Sam Darnold.
They did
But
they did in his best year, in Kaepernick's best year. It was towards the end that he came in. They got there because of Alex Smith.
And Kaepernick was a backup. All their stars come in for 5 games, are the next Joe Montana, and then they don't live up to it because
So now they're betting on Brock Purdy,
right,
to be their quarterback.
I agree with you.
That's my point. If it doesn't work out,
I think it was a dumb move.
What have they seen in the 8 games / 4 starts that Trey Lance has had where they go, nope, this is not the guy anymore?
If they got a first round pick,
that's what I don't understand.
Second round pick for him, I'd be like, okay, I kind of
trading up to get Trey Lance and having a 4 or 5 game sample size. And you know what? I agree with you. I would have been like, all right, you know what? Let's keep him. I mean, if they let him go after this year because Brock Purdy had another awesome year, and it wasn't. That's a different story.
That's fine.
But now that it doesn't make sense. Now I agree with you 100% on that. But
it would be the equivalent of the Jets getting rid of Zach Wilson, because look, Wilson's looked pretty good and I feel pretty confident with him as a backup, at least if it's
he's got a pretty good tutor right now too.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But they're willing to pay Darno more money because he's a veteran and would command more than they would with Lance. I mean, I don't know what Lance's salary,
they didn't want to have his deal.
He's on a
rookie contract.
Right, he's on a rookie contract. So again, to your point, Pete, the upside would have been to keep him because he was cheaper. Yeah. But clearly, he didn't fit in their system.
There's something wrong there.
Sample size.
There's something we don't know.
Right.
They might make some bad decisions. They make some bad decisions, but when you're picking Sam Bradford Darnold over a top draft pick, it's got to be.
And listen, I'll say I think Lance was a reach at number 4. Right? Just there's been a lot of those, and the Jets are guilty of that. Talking about Wilson and Geno Smith and some of their quarterbacks, where we need a quarterback, and so they take somebody before they really should. But even so, you traded those draft picks, and I get the thing that you said, Harry. They don't want the friction, but man, I don't know. What is it they have seen that convinces them he's not the guy?
Here's the storyline. He comes in. Dak Prescott's out. Cooper Rush gets hurt during the game. Trey Lance comes in and leads the Dallas Cowboys over the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs. There you go. You heard it here first.
That could happen.
Well, all right. So here's why they probably got rid of Trey and kept Darno. Darno's on a 1-year contract. It's $3.5 million guaranteed, right? He's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Trey Lance is on his third year of his contract. He's making just under $1 million on his base salary. There's no signing bonus there. He got a signing bonus in the first 2 seasons. Next year, though, he's got a $5 million cap hit. So he's got $1 million in base, $4 million if he makes the roster. So it's probably a little over $5 million. They would take a dead hit of about
$5 million on a quarterback is
$6 million. I know, which is nothing.
But nothing.
Yeah, but it's a backup quarterback, though.
Still,
backup quarterback, you're looking at paying $2-3 million too. So,
right.
But again, this team wants to win right now. They are built to win right now, and I look. They know more about football than I do, supposedly.
I think
they're built to
Sam
Darnold. No, that was sarcasm. Obviously, they know way more about football.
Mine was sarcasm too, but still.
But I just don't see how Sam Darnold, in the event that something happens to Brock Purdy, I don't see how Sam Darnold gives you a better chance than Trey Lance. I understand the veteran and all that, but he's terrible.
In the end, I think it's here. Ask them. In the end, I think it's up here. I think there's something in Trey Lance that is not translating to whatever they're giving him in the playbook or whatever. It doesn't translate on the practice field,
and it's not working.
The small sampling that they saw. That's why they got rid of him.
Yeah,
Dave Scardino just wrote in. Harry's right. They didn't want the controversy.
Yeah. I'm sure they don't. No team does.
Well, and I think they were actually looking out for his best interest too. Let him see where he lands. See if he can. They don't.
Right, don't let him. Right, he could languish on the bench.
They don't have the veteran to groom him. Brock Purdy is too close in age. Darnold's not that guy. It's just it was probably some friction on the sidelines in practice. Mm-hmm. There's something there, and at some times,
watch Dak get hurt. Trey comes in, leads them to the playoffs, and the 49er fans are like, really?
And beats the 49ers in the division.
Nobody thought Sammy Hagar was going to be a replacement for David Lee Roth, but
good point.
There you go.
Well, he was.
Gary Sharon really wasn't.
It was a little bit of a different group. But.
A little bit different, but they were
both good. They were both very, very good. Yeah.
Right.
Well, from a money standpoint, they had.
But he was Sam Darnold until he went. I can't drive 55 was not.
If Sam Darnold could have played guitar, then that would have been a different story.
See, I think it's like David Lee Roth was Joe Montana.
Right, aging Joe Montana. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but the Jets, it was more like 1, 2, 3 lockbox. I mean, let's face it.
Let's put it this way: at the time that they hired him, he was no lover boy.
All right, so here's my.
Which I'm going to see them Sunday night with fun.
Sunday night. There you go.
Here's my next football question.
Hopefully, the Red Pants
are the Cardinals done with Kyler Murray?
I think the Cardinals are done with Kyler Murray, and the Cardinals are going to tank.
The Cardinals are done with the Cardinals right now.
They're going after what's his name. They're tanking.
So they put him on the pup list, so he can't play like
first 4 games.
He's going to play baseball.
Week 5.
What do they do after that? Do they go, well, let's hope we're 0-4 and out of it by then?
Well, this is a great tie-in, Pete. Where is this guy was an MVP candidate? They paid him buku bucks. 2 years ago, and this knee-jerk sort of almost immediate discarding of these top draft choices at quarterback are just crazy to me. Now, I think in this case, it's less that they have given up on him and more that they see their future potentially with the next quarterback. I think that's what it is. And I think Murray's going to go back and play baseball.
I wouldn't blame him if he did.
I wouldn't either. Yeah, really. So, all right. Let's go around the league a little bit. We've talked about the NFC. We talked about the NFC East and the AFC East. Okay. AFC North standouts, players, teams.
Would we like to see the Detroit Lions win? Oh, wait, what did you say? AFC or
AFC?
Well, I would love to see the Detroit Lions win.
That would be AFC North.
That would make them the most improved team of all time.
Whatever. Let's go Bengals, because fuck everyone else in that division. I hate them.
I think the Bengals are going to win maybe 10 games this year, but I think they'll win that division. And I think
they'll win the division at 10-7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think the Steelers and the Ravens will be competitive, at the end of the day. But the Browns are going to be garbage.
I think the Steelers are going to be a much.
The Steelers
are
much
going to be, but they're going to beat up on each other, and I think the Bengals have a little bit more of a skill set to get past those guys. And we'll see what the Ravens do.
Let's with the Ravens, you got Odell. I mean, he can win you a couple of games there. So my hope is that Odell bounces back and has a great season and helps the Ravens be successful. But I think you're right. I think the Bengals are the cream of the crop of that.
But division. It's going to be a more competitive division than it has been in the last.
Yeah, definitely. And the Browns are going to be competitive too. The Browns aren't going to be 0-17.
No. And you might have 3.
The Browns aren't going to be 10-7 either.
They might all win 9
6
or more
7 games.
I think they all.
I don't see the Browns winning 9 games.
No, 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, maybe.
The Steelers might be the surprise of the division.
I think they are.
Yeah, they could be
because of the way they played last year. I think people sort of are writing them off, and I think that listen, Mike Tomlin, for all the hate that he gets from Steeler fans that they don't like him or whatever,
best coach in the NFL.
Guy is without a doubt, he's a winning coach. He knows how to put teams together.
No doubt about it.
Forget the Steelers have had 3 coaches in 50-something years,
and I'll tell you what, I think they got the steal of the draft with the quarterback that they're grooming.
Yes, right now. I agree.
Definitely. Agreed. Whatchamacallit?
And the Lions will come in last in the AFC North.
Quick side,
but first in the NFC.
First in the NFC North. Quick side note on that. You mentioned Odell before. Did you see that Jalen Hyatt, the Giants, has been wearing 84 the entire preseason? He changed his number today,
and was catching one-handed passes.
One-handed passes out there. He's changed his number to 13. Yeah, exactly. So,
but
all right. So all right, Pete, NFC North.
NFC North.
You think the Bengals?
I love the Bengals, and I like the Steelers. I'm hoping for the Lions. I mean,
there's a lot of upside to the Lions.
You know what?
I think it's the Lions.
Don't sleep on Green Bay though. Jordan Love's looked pretty good in the preseason. I know it means nothing.
He has,
but we'll see how he how he fares under the bright lights. But Green Bay might have made a good decision in drafting him. It was
this division is a toss up.
Yeah, I think the Vikings. Are sort of the team to beat in the division.
Really?
I think the Bears are going to be better. I definitely think Detroit's going to be better. And Green Bay is going to be. You're right. I think all 4 of them are sort of going to battle it out. I think the biggest expectation of that division is probably the Lions. A lot of people want to see Detroit do well. I don't want to see the Lions out of it at Thanksgiving. Every year, it's like that Thanksgiving game is garbage. That first game, you're like, all right, let's just eat, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll
if the Lions get
I miss the 8-legged turkey with Tom Madden.
If the Lions get better this year, like they did, better than they were last year, and then better than they were better last year than they were the year before. If they continue that trend, they should win this division. But
Dave Scardino's wrote in Lions are legit watching.
Everybody's on the Lions bandwagon, and every year, every
Dave, I will say it, as big a Cowboy fan as Dave is, his son is a big Lions fan. So now Dave is also a pseudo Lions.
The uniform.
But
the kneecap chomper is in charge.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Building that team.
Right. Here's a good question: which team will be the last team to get their first win?
I don't know about the schedule.
In the whole NFL.
In the whole NFL. What team will be the last?
Arizona.
Yeah, I have to go Arizona or Houston. Those would be my two.
I think Arizona.
Yeah,
I think Arizona.
I'll go with that.
And on the NFC North, I forget about them every year and sell them short. I think the Vikings are going to win it again.
Well, let me ask you: out of the 4 quarterbacks in the NFC North, you got Jared Goff, you got Kirk Cousins, you got Jordan Love, and you got Kyler Murray, right? Exactly.
Justin
Fields. Yeah. Who's the best quarterback?
Well, I mean Cousins until proven otherwise. But I do look the big.
You think Cousins is at this point right now he's better?
Yeah.
Than
based on his accomplishments, he is. But
Jared Goff's gotten to a Super Bowl. Cousins.
Yeah, like I said, based on his what he's done recently. But I do think that there's 2 things that everybody's hot on. That's the Lions as a team doing more than anybody expects them to do this year, and the improvement of the Lions. I mean, of the Bears and Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And look, if Justin Fields lives up to what he started to do last year and improves upon that, the Bears could. I don't think he has enough around him to jump definitively into the top spot in that division. But I think this division is a complete toss-up, especially because we don't know what Green Bay is going to look like.
Right. We're not going to know that for. I mean, we get to end of September, beginning of October, we'll have a good barometer.
I think for your question, John, I would probably say I think probably Fields is the best quarterback. It might not be the best. No, I agree. He doesn't have a lot around him, but I think,
I think he could.
Harry, I agree with you.
If I had to pick one of them on my team, I would take Fields first.
Right now, I would take a gamble on it. You're right.
Yeah.
Because I think he has that intangible that Cousins doesn't have, that he could lead the right team to some unpredictable wins.
Right. Agreed.
But I can see the Vikings very easily winning that division without a problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dave truly believes in Dan Campbell.
Yeah, Dan Campbell's great.
I agree. He's a great, exactly, and a good team drafted him out of college too. But that's
right.
Another story for another day. Anyway, all right, really quick. The other divisions, AFC South. Give me a pick.
Again, they're the Minnesota Vikings of that division.
I'm gonna take Jacksonville.
Yeah, you might be right there.
Indianapolis, Houston, Tennessee, or Jacksonville. It's got to be Jacksonville, right?
I think it has to be Jacksonville. The coach cut his own son.
Yeah.
He cut his own son.
And again,
his son's like, son, I love you, but no, here's your baby.
The Jaguars are the.
You put him on the practice squad at least?
The Jaguars are the Lions of the AFC. The Lions of the AFC. And look,
but the Jaguars have much more upside.
Yeah,
right. I think the Titans.
I think they're well constructed team. I think they're good.
And I think they got a great quarterback too.
I think the Titans.
Well, I think the Titans. I think the Titans are in there no matter what.
Yeah,
they're always competitive.
Are they going to do anything in the playoffs? No, but I think they win the division. I think Jacksonville will probably go further, but I see Jacksonville maybe having a little bit of some off games.
Yeah, I can see that.
That'll work. And let's throw it out to the West. We talked about San Francisco, and obviously we talked about Arizona. What do you think of the Rams? Chances this year after winning the Super Bowl and then stinking up the NFL last year.
They're going to stink it up again, right? They're terrible.
Well, what Matthew Stafford's wife is out there saying that he doesn't know how to talk to any of these guys because they're too young and he's too old. So I mean,
that's not a good thing.
No,
Kirk Cousins' wife is Instagramming his dad clothes.
Yeah,
all the time too.
She's screaming, "You like that?"
What's
yeah. I'll tell you who's going to win it. The Seahawks.
Right. The Seahawks?
Yeah.
I think so.
I just can't stand Geno Smith.
Well,
you know what? I have to, I think you're right about the Seahawks. I like Geno. I like what he has done to rehabilitate his career. I mean, this was a guy that the Jets thought that he was the man. Yeah. Then he gets his jaw broken by a player because he didn't pay up his money.
Yeah.
They cut him. They cut that guy. He goes to the Bills. And then, Rex makes him a captain the week that they come back just to stick it to the Jets, which, again, that's all this horseplay. Mm-hmm. But I love what Geno has done. Played with the Giants for a season or two, picked himself back up again and is having a lot of success in Seattle. I like what he's done. I'm happy for him. I knew him a little bit in the locker room. Nice guy. I'd like to see him succeed, and I could see him doing that in Seattle. I mean, that home field advantage is no joke. There's 8 or 9 games every year where the crowd is behind you no matter what. No visiting team can get enough fans in there to make a difference ever. Right. So that's a big deal.
That is true. Dave threw his 2 cents in about the Rams. It's a nice stadium, bad team.
Yeah. Maybe like just the forgotten Super Bowl champs. I will say this. I think that the 49ers, have a better chance to be consistent and have few less question marks. But if the Seahawks, if some of the question marks there and some of their health concerns pan out in their favor, it's going to be a dogfight with both of those teams. Yeah. And you're right, that home field advantage is going to be tough.
It is tough. That's always tough in that stadium. Always tough.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
100%.
All right. You have to bail.
Yes, I do. Unfortunately, it's bedtime for me.
All right, who wins the Super Bowl?
Wait, before you go, NFC South. You got to pick somebody. Blindfold yourself and throw a dart.
Yeah.
Wow. Saints.
It's got to be the Saints, right?
Yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't think the Bucs are going to be competitive at all. I love the head coach, but nah, sorry.
A lot of people are hot on the Falcons, but I'm going to go with the Saints as well.
Yeah, best of the worst.
Best of the worst, exactly.
That's a horrible division.
And Harry, how do your well, we'll talk about it more after Al goes, but how do your Broncos fare this year? Fail or fair?
They're going to be better.
How do they fail this year? Right?
They're going to be better. How do they fail? I'll tell you how they fail. They fail by putting too much pressure on their illustrious quarterback to do things that he can't do. So if they have a balanced offense that can control the ball and make Russell Wilson be Russell Wilson, then they'll be successful. If they don't, here's a prediction. Russell Wilson might not be the starting quarterback by the end of the year for the Broncos.
Interesting.
Because Peyton's not going to.
Is that your take or is that the buzz around Denver?
No, that's my take. And that's the buzz that I've heard from a bunch of people is that Peyton's treating Wilson like he's another guy on this team. There's no favoritism. There's no massage rooms. There's no entourage. There's none of that stuff. And it's about making sure that this is. And I think Wilson has to be smart enough to understand that, okay, I won a Super Bowl and should have won a second Super Bowl by doing what I do really well. Mm-hmm. I'm not. I might think that I'm something else, but I'm certainly not that. Yeah, but I'm certainly not that at the age that I am right now. So they got to control the ball. They got to keep their defense is good. They've got some receiver issues, which concerns me. They got a lot of injuries in the receiving core. I don't think they're going to be as a dynamic of an offense as you think, even with Sean Payton here. I think they're going to struggle to score points, and I think they're going to lose some close games.
Yeah. And you said you don't think there's going to be any massage rooms or anything. I heard there's a lot of massage rooms in Cleveland. I did hear that.
And in New England.
There's New England, right?
There's a lot out of business in Houston.
There you go. Right. Anyway. On that note, all right. You got an early morning show, 6 a.m.
Early morning show.
You're hosting. Right. Tell everybody to tune in 6 a.m. tomorrow. Go ahead.
6 a.m. to 10, the Joe Piscopo Show, AM 970, theanswer.com if you want to stream it, or if you're in the New York area, AM 970 on your AM dial. That's that old people's radio.
Old people's radio. Yeah. So, been on it, done that. There you go, Pete and I. There you go. So, all right. Well, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it, Al. We appreciate you time out to come on when you come on. And I will talk to you soon. We will talk to you soon.
You got it.
Enjoy. Thanks,
Peace
Al.
out, guys.
We'll see.
Thank you.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, I think it's time we do our predictions. What do you think? I mean, we got some Al's. Let's record ours for posterity, as they say.
All right.
Shall we? Let's start with Pete. Pete, and your AFC East pick, please.
Well, you know what? I can't say it's a New Year's resolution, but I am going to try and be more optimistic about things. At least until the end of September, when I am rebroken.
at least until week 3, right?
Yeah, when I am rebroken by my favorite team. But I'm going to pick the New York Jets to win the AFC East.
All right. And let's stay with the East. Harry, your pick.
I'm on this bandwagon. Let's have fun. I'm on this bandwagon. The Jets are going to win it. The Jets, baby.
All right.
The Jets are going to win it.
I'm right there with you. I am on that bandwagon, and I didn't jump on it. I would have said it if I went first. The Jets are going to win the division.
That's a great story if it happens too.
New England's not New England. I mean, they're not going to be slouches. They're going to be in the basement of the AFC East, but they're not going to be 1-16 in the basement. They're going to be 8-9 or 9-8. They should be
a little bit better. They have an actual offensive coordinator as their offensive coordinator,
as opposed to an old defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah, who is a failed head coach. So and they've got Belichick and mac and cheese and all that, so they'll be around. But
exactly,
it's going to be a competitive division.
It's going to be a competitive division. It's going to be a fun division, but I think the Jets will pull it out. I do believe it's going to be competitive. All 4 teams are going to be up there at the top. The New England will be at the bottom of that. But again,
we talked about the Rams a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Look what the difference Matthew Stafford, with the veteran stars that he had, made to that Rams team. A Rams team that had a great defense and couldn't really put it together on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Now take Matthew Stafford and improve upon that a bit.
A little bit.
That's what I think the Jets have. I think this has the makings of that kind of team.
Yeah,
I really do.
I agree. I do agree. All right, Pete, AFC North.
I don't think Odell's going to be a difference maker, but not enough for Baltimore. So I know there are concerns about the Bengals, but it's a long season, and guys do get hurt, but guys also do get healthy again. So I'm going to have to take Cincinnati.
And he's supposed to start, right? Isn't Joe Burrow supposed to play?
They did, yeah. So
they got off to a slow start last year too.
They did, and they were right there. So
And the other thing I'll say is it wouldn't surprise me if these Steelers, who I actually do hate, were the second place team in that division.
I think you're going to have two. I think you're going to have 3 teams that all improve upon last year in that division: in the Ravens, the Browns, and the Steelers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Bengals really need to do their.
They need to, and I agree with Pete. If I had to pick somebody to upset in that division, I'm going with the Steelers. I think they're going to have a good year.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to be that guy that predicts the upset. I'm concerned about Joe Burrow. And if he can remain healthy for all 17 games, then Cincinnati does win it. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to see him out for a measurable amount of time this year. Whether he starts in the beginning of the year and you see him come out in week 2 or 3 and he's out for a while, or it's towards the end of the year, obviously it will be more beneficial for him if he's going to miss time early on, right? But then later on in the season. But I think the Steelers. You're going to be shocked. And I think it's going to be almost like the AFC East. I think it's going to be a game or 2 difference between the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Bengals. But I think the Steelers do pull it out.
All right. So based on our predictions, the Ravens will win this division.
The Ravens will win the division.
Exactly.
All right, Pete, AFC South.
I'm going to take Jacksonville.
All right. Harry.
My gut tells me Jacksonville, but Tennessee's the Minnesota of the AFC. I can never quite wrap my head around why they're so good. And, it's obvious why they're so good. I just think they're very consistent. I think Jacksonville is going to have a little bit of some struggle early on. I think that Tennessee squeaks out their last division title in this division this year.
You do?
I do. I think Tennessee. Yeah.
All right. I think you are
wrong.
I was taking the Colts.
I'm taking
Texans.
I'm taking the Texans, baby.
Well, who's gonna be worse, the Colts or the Texans?
The Texans.
The Texans are going to be worse than the Colts. Insignificantly less, but it's the Jags. The Jags are winning the division.
Okay.
So I got to do this here for a second, and hold on. I think it was right here. Yep, there we go. That is not who I pick, but that was me at Nissan Stadium in May. So just wanted to throw that out there. Not that either of you care, but I figured I'd show you. Anyway, for those of you listening on the audio podcast, if you care to see me in a Titans jersey in front of Nissan Stadium in Nashville, tune into the video stream at around 1 hour and 13 minutes. Anyway. All right, AFC West, Pete.
Well, much as I like this, and I like the Chiefs, of course, I go, well, maybe this is the year where they falter somehow, but Vegas is just not going to be good enough, and Jimmy G is going to get hurt again, and then they'll be worse. And I love Justin Herbert, but I don't think the Chargers can be as good as Kansas City, so it's Kansas City.
There's a lot of hard choices in these divisions in the AFC, aren't there? I mean, there's teams in every division that could win it, and not just two, right?
There's
not
nothing.
Just two possibilities.
There's nothing hard in this division. This is the only division.
No. Look, I'm picking the Chiefs too. I mean, that's obvious, right? But that's not the point. My point is that there's a good team in Las Vegas and a good quarterback in Jimmy G. There's a good team in Los Angeles and a good quarterback in Justin Herbert. So, you know what I mean? It's just, and obviously the AFC North and the AFC East, not so much the AFC South, right? But the others, there's a lot of good, talented teams.
There's a lot of parity.
There's a lot of parity in the AFC. All right, so Pete, you say the Chiefs?
Yeah, Chiefs.
Harry?
Yeah.
Chiefs, yeah, same thing all around. All right. Pete, NFC East.
I got to go Commanders based on the preseason.
The preseason record.
They're 3-0. They scored 5 more points than they gave up. That is as mediocre team as you can get.
They won 3 games with a +5 differential.
With a +5.
That's hard to even calculate.
I don't see Dallas winning it.
1 point field goal.
Yeah, 1 point.
That's what I mean, but that's what it has to be, right? It's not going to be
2 safeties and 1 point.
Yeah, I take some exception to Dallas winning 10 or 11 or 12 games. I think they're going to lose more games in the division, and they might be. They might win 10, but I'm going to pick the New York Giants. I think this is the year the Giants put it together. I know the Eagles are really good, but I think the Giants have the Eagles have pressure on them because of what they did last year. The Giants go for broke. They're putting everything together. I think Daboll is a good coach, and I'm gonna pick them to win the East.
All right, look at that
by a game, but that's it. That's enough. That's all it takes.
There you go, Harry.
It's the Eagles.
All right.
Cowboys coming second, Giants third, Commanders last.
Cowboys coming second, you said?
Yeah.
I'm picking I'm going to pick the Giants. I'm going to pick the Giants. I'm going to say
I'm changing my pick then. No, I'm just kidding.
Commanders it is.
No, I'm going to tell you why. They may lose both games to the Eagles. They may very well lose both games to the Eagles. But I don't think they're going to I think they'll win the division by one game more. They got a lot of, hold on. Dave Scardina just said, Pete needs sleep. You too, Johnny.
No, I'm sorry, Dave. I just think, look at the Giants' schedule, right? Okay, they got the Cowboys.
So that's a loss.
I think that could be a win for them.
I think the Giants are going to split. I think the Giants are going to beat Dallas on opening night. They're going to lose in Dallas.
They're going to split with the Eagles too. Then they got the Cardinals. That's a win.
Mm-hmm.
They got the 49ers. That's probably a loss.
Where's the game?
Yeah, I already went through this exercise. I think the Giants have 1 win going into Washington in Week 7. I think the front end of the Giants' schedule does not work well for them. I think they start to end after that, but I think the Giants win 8 games this year.
Yeah, I think they win the division. And I'm sometimes right.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Not often, but sometimes.
All right.
Look,
so
look, here we go. Hold on. They got the Cowboys. I think all right. Look, they could very easily go 4-13 too, right? I'm not clearly any team can.
I don't think it'll be that bad. I have a hard time getting 9 wins out of it.
I think the Giants can beat the Cowboys on opening night.
They beat them last year, right? Dallas.
And I know Dave feels differently because he's going to be at that game.
You got 2 against Washington. You got a New England game.
Yeah, that's
what
I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. So
the end of the year, that's where they win the bulk of their games.
You got the Rams. You got Carolina.
3-2. 3-3.
Oh, no, that was the preseason. 4. You got the Rams Week 17, and then finish up with the Eagles. That Eagles game is probably going to decide the division.
I got them winning 8 games.
7-4, 8-4.
Sorry, I got them winning 8 games.
10-4.
Well, I think you've been dead on with them the last couple of
I
years.
know.
So
I'm going to say they can go. They can go 11-5 or 11-5 or 11-6 or 12-5. They can. I said they will.
Yeah,
They can.
They could also. They could also win the USFL this year too.
Let's move on, and we'll see who's right.
Yeah.
They did say if Dak throws 2 TD passes to your defense, you will win Sunday night, but Monday night. Yeah. But all right. Moving on. NFC North.
Oh, God. Who's even
going with the Lions.
Mm-hmm. Harry?
I'm going with the Vikings.
Yeah, I thought you might. I'm going with the Lions. All right. I am. I think they can do it. I think the Vikings are going to be right there with it, and it's going to be tight, but it's definitely between the two of them. I think the Lions do it though.
There you go,
Pete, NFC South.
See, the only thing about the Vikings is I know it's just a running back and they're expendable, but who's Dalvin Cook's replacement on the Vikings? Because you can't tell me they're going to be as good without him as they were with him.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Good. Can I?
Wait, is it Madison? Is it Matt Madison? Right, Madison was the second running back last year.
Dolly Madison.
Dolly Madison, not Madison. Madison.
James
Mattin. James Madison.
James Madison, the painter.
Yeah.
Can I pick none of the above for the NFC South?
None of the above. No one. The division is into a 4-way tie.
It's going to be everybody's going to be 11-6. I guess I'll take the Saints.
Yeah, Alexander Madison. He's the.
Without they'll probably win the Super Bowl with him.
There you go. So, who are you picking? The Saints?
I'll take the Saints. They can't be as bad as they've looked.
Okay. Harry?
I hate this whole division other than Tampa Bay, and they're going to suck. So I'll take the Saints.
Yeah. Agreed. The Saints are
the Saints are the cream of the crap.
Cream of the crap, right? Pete, NFC West.
I'm going to take. I want to take Seattle because I lived there for a little while, and I like the Seahawks, but they have Geno Smith. Well, it really wasn't his fault. The Jets shouldn't have drafted him as early as they did.
Second round.
But I can't. He's an ex-Jet, so I can't wish him too much well. I take the 49ers. I'm going to take the 49ers in that defense and Wonder Boy at quarterback.
Geno Smith, the last 2 years. Okay, I'm going to take 2020. He didn't play enough, but last 2 years, 69 and 70% completion percentage.
Yeah.
He had 4,282 yards last year.
I am not arguing that he has played great.
100.9 quarterback rating.
Yeah.
I think the Seahawks win this division. I think there's a little bit of turmoil in San Francisco, and I just can't see them. I just don't see them winning some of the games that they won last year. And I think the Seahawks are going to be a tough team.
All right.
I think you're probably right, but I'm going to pick San Francisco.
Yeah, that's a safe bet.
I'm taking the Cardinals.
Nice.
And the over.
As in the season will be over by week 6.
By week 6, right? Yeah. Now I'm taking the 49ers too. I agree with Harry though. The Seahawks.
Yeah.
If Brock Purdy has a sophomore slump or gets hurt, Seahawks are winning the division. He doesn't though. It's the 49ers division to lose.
Yeah.
So.
Let's face it. From a defensive standpoint and the ability to pull offense out of almost nothing, complete nonsense. They might be the best coached team over the last 5 or 6 years in the NFL. I just don't know how they do it.
I agree.
Anyway, and then they make bad decisions.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Give me your 3 AFC wildcard teams, Pete.
Oh, God. Well, I guess the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to remember who I picked.
I'll say
I can tell you.
The Chargers.
All right. Mm-hmm.
this one's going to be painful no matter who I pick. I probably should say Tennessee because that's what they do. And I picked Jacksonville to win the division. But although I have both them and the Steelers coming in second in their division, I'm going to, and this is why it pains me, I'm going to take the Steelers as my third wild card. And I hate the Steelers.
All right. Harry?
I'm going to go Bills, Ravens, and Jaguars.
Bills, Ravens, Jaguars.
Taking the Jaguars instead of the Chargers, huh?
Oh, yeah. I don't have much faith in the Chargers.
No?
Yeah, they do have a reputation for...
All right.
They didn't make the playoffs last year, did they?
The who?
Chargers, did they make the playoffs?
Chargers made the playoffs. Yeah, they lost to the Jaguars.
There you go.
In the wild card game.
That's why I'm picking the Jaguars.
There you go. So yeah. And and mine are Bills, Chargers, Bengals. So Pete's picks just flip-flop the Steelers and Bengals because I picked the Steelers, he picked the Bengals to win the North.
Gotcha.
All right. Pete, your 3 NFC wildcard teams.
Well, I got to pick the Seahawks.
All right.
Let me scroll past the NFC South.
Scroll past them, right?
I should like the Vikings more than I do. I don't know why I don't. Well, I'm going to obviously the Eagles since I picked the Giants to win the East. I don't know. I think this is going to be a downfall year for the Cowboys, so I'm going to pick Minnesota.
All right. Harry?
Cowboys, 49ers, and the Lions.
Cowboys. Oh, yeah, it's because you picked the Vikings, right? 49ers. And the
Lions.
Lions, yeah. All right. And I'm going with the Eagles, the Vikings, and Cowboys. Yep. Eagles, Vikings, Cowboys.
So you're saying the Seahawks are not going to make the playoffs?
No, they're not. Well, I mean, yeah, it depends on, records. I mean, if they don't win the division and the Eagles, Vikings, and Cowboys have better records.
When does making the playoffs have anything to do with your record?
Right. This is true.
Yeah.
Very true.
That's
all right. Pete, who wins the AFC? Who is the AFC? Who's the AFC champion?
It's going to be Houston.
They're not even in the playoffs, but
No.
They win the AFC championship game. What do you think?
Yeah, I have to take the Chiefs.
Yep.
You until somebody knocks them off.
Harry?
Yeah, I mean, my logical side says take Chiefs, but people don't repeat. So I'm going to take the Bengals. The one team that has beaten the Chiefs.
There you go. All right. And I'm taking the Chiefs. And then, Pete, the NFC championship.
The
Bears.
Bears.
It's tempting.
The Lions? Lions finally get to a Super Bowl?
No, they're not that good. You know what? I'm gonna take the Seahawks.
Seahawks, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wildcard team wins the NFC championship game.
Yeah, I think so.
Why not? Harry?
It's the Eagles.
All right. I'm going with the 49ers. And it's.
I think they're going to have a pretty good season,
I do. And the Super Bowl champ, Pete, Chiefs or Seahawks?
I'll pick a third one. Pick one that you didn't have winning each of the conferences.
Bucks.
Miami Hurricanes.
It'll be the Chiefs.
All right. Harry?
It pains me to say this, but it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow. All right.
Eagles are going to put it together.
When they're second. All right. Chiefs. Chiefs win. Chiefs beat the 49ers again in the Super Bowl. There you go. That's mine. So,
interesting.
All right. So just as a recap, Pete, we'll post this too so we can keep ourselves honest. Pete says the Jets, Bengals, Jags, and Chiefs are all AFC divisional winners. The Giants, the Lions, the Saints, and the 49ers are all NFC divisional winners. Harry says the Jets, Bengals, Titans, and Chiefs, and the Eagles, Vikings, Saints, and Seahawks. I say the Jets, Steelers, Jags, and Chiefs, Giants, Lions, Saints, and 49ers. Wildcard teams, AFC, Pete, Bills, Chargers, Steelers. Harry, Bills, Ravens, Jaguars. Myself, Bills, Chargers, Bengals. NFC, Pete, Eagles, Seahawks, Vikings. Harry, Cowboys, 49ers, Lions. Myself, Eagles, Vikings, Cowboys. Pete, AFC champ. Super Bowl is going to be the Chiefs and the Seahawks with the Chiefs winning. Harry says the Bengals, Eagles with the Eagles winning. And I say the Chiefs, 49ers with the Chiefs winning. So there you go.
There we go.
All right. We got a comment up here. Let me just see what it is here. He says, so I agree with everyone about the Chiefs, but is it possible they are different without Bieniemy? I don't think so, because I think that Andy Reid had a little bit more to do with the offensive calling than most head coaches do. Not all, but most head coaches do. I think they're going to be fairly level because, that's just my take. Harry, Pete?
Yeah, they've got so much talent. I will say this: I think what's his name's holdout on the defensive side is going to slow them a little bit in the beginning of the year. I think they're going to have a couple games where they have a letdown. I don't think they're as deep with their offensive weapons as they were last year, and I think that it's really hard to repeat. So logically, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Chiefs are the best team in football, but it's really, really hard to repeat. And I just think if the Bengals can get healthy, they're the one team that's built where they can beat this Chiefs team. And I think this is going to be the new Lakers Boston, although it's the same division. But I think you're going to see the Bengals and Chiefs for the next 10 years battle it out in the AFC.
There you go.
Yeah. Chiefs will operate a little bit differently, but they're very talented, and they'll find ways to utilize that talent. Listen, they lost Tyreek Hill, and everybody went, "Oh, what's going to happen to them?" What happened to them?
They won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they won the Super Bowl. Yeah. So a little bit different, losing your offensive coordinator, but I think.
You know what? They got Kadarius Toney now, so they're fine.
Yeah, you know what? Kadarius Toney had a big impact in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So yeah. They do know how to go out and get people, and this, another person I think the Giants gave up on too soon.
Well, you know what though, I don't agree with you on that one, because trading Kadarius Toney to the Chiefs led to the Giants getting Darren Waller. So I personally would rather have Darren Waller than Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, and I think Toney gave up on the Giants
before the Giants gave up on Toney,
if not before the Giants gave up on him.
Toney, yeah. So, all right,
if the reports are correct.
Exactly. Do we have an Are They For Real tonight?
I had an idea for one, but I don't have the names. So no. No, we don't. But
we can do it nameless. We can do a nameless.
It's just going to be like trying to name someone's baby. Is this for real?
No. But I do have something we could do really quickly. It's baseball. It's baseball related, though.
Are they for real?
It's not. Are they for real?
It's not. Are they for real? Oh,
no,
okay.
No.
So we don't need the theme music.
No.
So we don't need the theme music.
Alrighty, fine.
So let's switch to baseball, and then I think we're gonna cut out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted to do this because this popped up in my feed, I guess about 4 or 5 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So this is top the best teams as far as offensive categories in Major League Baseball. Now I don't know if this is both the American and the National League, or if it's just the National League, because I will tell you that the teams on this list are all National League teams.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to read you the category and what the number is. This is the top team, batting average, home runs, that sort of thing. And we'll go back and forth, and you guys will guess.
Okay.
So I won't have you each guess at each one because that'll take longer. But
that's fine.
We'll just bounce back and forth so it goes quickly. Okay. Best batting average, again, either in baseball or in the National League. 274. Harry, which team?
If he doesn't get it,
it's got to be the Braves.
Yes, it's the Braves.
Okay.
Whether he gets it or not, we're moving on.
All right, fine.
John, most home runs, 240.
Most home runs, 240. Well, it's not the Mets.
Nope.
So.
Despite Pete Alonso's best intentions.
Geez. Well, clearly we're talking National League here, so I can cut out
these are all
half the teams.
Yeah, National League teams are the only ones on this list. So maybe this is just in the National League. I don't know.
I think it's one team that leads everything. That's why.
The Braves?
It is the Braves, yes.
Yeah. All right.
I mean...
All right. Harry, RBI, 704.
It's the Braves.
It's the Braves. John, runs scored, 729.
Braves.
Braves, you're correct. On base percentage, 345. Harry?
The Braves.
That's the Braves. Slugging percentage, 499. John, you want to guess?
I'm going to go with Atlanta.
Yeah, that's the Atlanta Braves. That's correct. This one is covered. Oh, hits, 1,183.
The Braves.
The Braves, that's right. And stolen bases, 149. John?
That's definitely the team that plays in Georgia.
Are you talking about the Braves?
That would be them, yes.
No, I'm sorry. It's the Cincinnati Reds.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
The
only
one category.
major offensive category as of 4 days ago, not led, at least in the National League, by the Braves, is stolen bases. This is a freaking super team, man.
It's ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous.
This is a super team.
I'm actually shocked and pleasantly surprised that the Mets actually beat them one of the games they played them last week.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this, John, and Harry, you can weigh in too, of course. Do you think one of the reasons that Steve Cohen said, okay, white flag, we're done, let's rebuild.
He got this in his feed too.
He wanted nothing to do with even the remote possibility of playing the Braves in the playoffs and getting crushed by them.
Yeah.
So he said,
I think that might not have been the only reason, but it's definitely one.
No, not the only, but they were only 4 games out, right? And we all kind of went, well, they were only 4 games out. You came from 9 games to 4 games.
They weren't catching the Braves. They were not winning.
They weren't catching the. They might have got the wild card.
They might have caught up to the wild card.
Now, Steve Cohen just go, we're not winning anything, even if we get the wild card.
I want to say one thing, and I think it's true because I think Judge is below this. But I think the Atlanta Braves team batting average is like 276, 277. I think it's higher, the team batting average, than anyone on the Yankees.
Any one player on the Yankees.
Yes.
That could be. Yeah, it was 274 as of.
I think it's
5. This is 5 days ago.
I think I saw it the other day. It was 277 because I was watching them on TV, and then I know Judge has dropped down. He was like below 280. So I think that's the case.
Unbelievable. Yeah, Pete, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Sure, they could have caught one of the wild card spots. They could have made a little noise in a wild card game, right?
And then they would have gotten run over on the train tracks.
And then we gotten run over by Atlanta.
Yeah. So
So
are we done with baseball or no?
Yeah,
one other thing.
Okay.
The Oakland A's, right, moving to Vegas.
Yeah.
Right.
Turns out, there's not really a place for them to play. Right, we know they're going to build a stadium.
Sure.
That's not going to happen until maybe 2028 or 2029. Right, so they're going to be sort of lame duck in Oakland, but their lease for the Coliseum runs out at the end of the 2024 season. So they asked Major League Baseball to help them try and get an extension. And the mayor of Oakland said, yeah, you can have your extension, but when you leave, the name A's has to stay here.
Wow.
In Oakland. And he said to who's the commissioner of baseball? Manfred.
Yeah,
right?
Rob Manfred. Yeah.
Well, the figurehead commissioner.
Yeah.
He said to Manfred, you have to put an expansion team in here, and they will be called the A's.
Well, you see, now, here's one thing that I got to tell you with that. Now, I get it, right? I get what the A's are doing to Oakland and, moving and all. I get it. I get all of that.
It's the plot of Major League.
Right.
Lose enough games so the attendance is terrible, and we have an out.
I completely get it. Completely 100% get it. But the Athletics have been the Athletics for well over 100 years.
Then they were in Philly, yeah.
They were in Philly. Then they were in Kansas City. Then they moved to Oakland.
Right.
So why should so this is the third town they've been in
with the mayor. I'm with the mayor. I want the Oakland A's to stay in Oakland. I wasn't around with the Philadelphia A's or the Kansas City's, the Royals. Oakland is the A's, and not having a baseball team. That I think that's a good move by the mayor of Oakland. Good for you. That also tells me that this is on ownership and not on the city. The city wants them to stay there. These guys are trying to make the money play.
So it's the plot of Major League, but it turns out to be what happened with the Browns and the Ravens. Right. So the A's will move to Vegas and get a new name, and the history of the A's will stay in Oakland with an expansion team.
Yes.
And so forth.
That's good.
Now,
right?
Now the A's do have, I think there's one place they can play in Vegas. I think there's a AAA affiliate there.
It's a roller
stadium.
It used to be the stadium for the Mets when the Mets were playing in Vegas.
Apparently, it holds about 8,200 people, and there's no roof.
No roof, yeah.
And it's in Vegas, so that's kind of their other.
Well,
option.
Guess what their average attendance is?
8,200.
10,000.
10,000.
10,000. Yeah.
There you go. So they'll pack the place.
So I say this:
play in Vegas in August with no roof.
I say they let them. I say Kansas City, Miami, and Oakland all play in the same stadium at the same time, so that they can collectively be in the top 20. And
there's one other option. Minutes. Apparently, they could rent out. They could play at. Where do the Giants play now? What's it called now?
Oracle Park,
Giant Stadium,
whatever it is.
Oracle
Park. Yeah, they could play whatever, like I don't know, 30 or 40 games or something at Candlestick. It's a hodgepodge. But I agree with you, Harry. Good for the mayor. You're going to screw us. You're going to invoke this attendance clause, put no money into the team, and give us a shit product for years and years.
Right.
You want to go? Go ahead. The name stays here.
And there's some chatter. There's some chatter about the Brewers leaving Milwaukee, which I think is ridiculous.
That's because they want a new stadium.
The owners want
a new stadium.
Everybody wants a new stadium.
Yeah, they want a new stadium. But Milwaukee isn't the Brewers' first field,
of course, they're fucking Johnny history. Of course, we know all this. Let's go back to 1743.
No. For their first year in existence in '69, they were the Seattle Pilots.
No.
And then they went to Milwaukee.
Is there any team that's been in one spot besides the Mets and the Yankees? The Dodgers,
Phillies.
No, well, the Phillies, but there was another team in Philly before the Phillies.
Well, yeah, it was another one, but it was the Phillies.
Well, there you go.
The Red Sox,
the Raptors. I mean
and technically the Yankees have always been there, but they weren't the Yankees their first years.
I know the Red Sox weren't the Red Sox either, weren't they?
They were the Red Stocking. No, they were Red Sox.
Okay.
The Yankees were the Highlanders.
Let me don't play the music because it's not worth it. But I did have something I wanted to ask you. It's kind of it's sort of a are they for real? But you don't have to play the music because it's quick, and I know we want to get out of here. Who's more for real? And by that I mean they will repeat as U.S. Open champion, the tennis we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Iga Swiatek or Carlos Alcaraz?
Swiatek.
Swiatek is more likely to repeat, you say? All right. John?
Swiatek.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Joker's going to win.
Because of Djokovic, yeah. Who won like 6-1, 6-2, 6-1 today or something like that. Yep. So, and just beat Alcaraz in the tournament in Cincinnati.
Tell you what, though, Alcaraz is really, really good, and he's better suited for this court than almost anywhere else. So,
right.
I mean, I'm not saying he.
I don't think he. I don't think he has a good chance.
Is more likely to.
That's my point.
There you go.
So, What else? What else? Oh, Simone Biles is back.
She's back.
Won the U.S. Nationals for the 8th time.
She bought the Oakland A's and she's keeping it.
She should. So the twisties have been cured.
The Oakland Biles.
Good for her. She's the greatest ever, and we're fortunate to have her doing that during our time. Sure. USA World Cup basketball is starting. I also wrote, "Who cares?"
Yeah.
And we were talking about. I think we were talking about Messi. Recently,
scoring goals. Keep scoring goals.
He finally scored a goal, and I think he had an assist in their first actual league game. All those other games were the MLS.
He's
Cup
got like
games.
10 goals.
Yeah,
that's more than the rest of the league has scored.
11 goals and like 6 assists or something. Toying with American defenders.
Well, they played the Red Bulls last weekend.
Yep.
And I think it was just 1-0, and it was his goal.
Yeah,
Miami won. Yeah.
So he really although apparently he's going to miss something like 6 or 8 or 10 games.
I thought it was the 3 games he just missed because of some tournament play, but he's going to miss more.
Yeah. I think he's going to miss more to play for whatchamacallit,
right.
The national team, not the United States national team. But I think Miami will be happy to. They won't be happy about it, but they'd rather have him and have him miss games than not have him. So,
right.
Lionel Messi, are we done? Can I say something?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Messi playing in the American Soccer League, whatever the fuck it's called, is like if Aaron Judge played in the Little League World Series. And on that note, the next Aaron Judge won the Little League World Series for the U.S. on a walk-off home run. This guy's 6'1", 6'2", or something.
He's taller than me. He's 6'1". He's taller.
He's my height. Yeah. That's just crazy.
His name is Danny Almonte.
Yeah. No, he wasn't 33. But what a great game. I was watching the Yankees and the Rockies that day, and it was horrible. And then I put this on, and I watched the whole thing. God, those kids are fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. And I'm not saying this sarcastically at all. When I am bored with sports, I love the Little League World Series. I love watching tennis. And you know what else I like? I like watching the WNBA. By the way, some super teams forming there. Great game the other night between Vegas and the Liberty. I don't know. Yeah. It's the dog days of summer. I can't stand watch. I got the Major League Baseball package.
I stopped watching baseball a while ago. I did.
I find myself watching the Mets now, when they're down by 6 runs, and because I like their announcers, and that's the only channel.
That's the only reason. Honestly, that's the only reson that I'll put on a game is just listen to Gary, Keith, and Rob.
And for some reason, I don't explain this to me. It's the only channel where I get a post game that stays on the SNY network. It's the only one that I get that doesn't shut off on the Major League Baseball.
Everything else shuts off. Yeah,
everything else shuts off. I don't know why. I like it. I love it.
I do. I love it.
So that's how boring my life is. I'm excited about Little League Baseball, the WNBA, and post games
for the Mets. Right?
Post game shows for the Mets.
And just to wrap up the NFL Kickoff Show, Dave Scardino just says Prescott just threw an interception.
Yeah, it won't be the first.
Yeah, no, it will not be the
But,
last.
But ironically, though, he's eating dinner at the Sizzler.
Yeah.
But in any event, all right.
Hey, man,
good?
Cooper Rush, baby.
Yeah, it's going to be Trey Lance by
Trey Lance by a hair. Yeah, exactly.
I'm telling you, what a great storyline. All right, Dallas and the 49ers in the playoffs. For some reason, God forbid, I don't wish this on him. Dak Prescott can't play. Cooper Rush is in there, goes out. Trey Lance comes in and leads the winning drive for the Dallas Cowboys against the 49ers, sending Dallas to the Super Bowl. What do you think about that?
I think I won't be watching the Super Bowl if that happens.
I would be happy. I would love it. I would love it.
And then, of course, Dallas loses 43-0 to Kansas City. And I'm proven wrong that, you know.
Let me just throw this at you. So, believe it or not, James Harden wants out of Philly, right?
No, what a surprise!
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Oh yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one to gather.
So he turned 34.
So he's sunny there. What's wrong?
Last Friday on the.
You know what's weird? Hold that thought 1 second. James Harden turned 34. 34. Why does that shock me more than him wanting to leave Philly? He should be like 48. All right.
By the way, it's the same. He has the same birthday as my wife. I didn't know that. But,
there you go. That's Friday.
And so he said that Daryl Morey is a liar, and he will never be part of an organization that Morey is part of.
Wasn't he part of two organizations?
He made a statement in a press conference, and he said it twice. And here's my question to you: he was fined $100,000 by the NBA. I don't think he should have been fined. I don't understand why he was fined for speaking his mind.
All right. Look, I have an idea. The NBA wants an expansion team, right? Other than
take all the malcontents and put them.
There's no weirder place than fucking Portland. So we started, we have the Trailblazers, so we can't put them there. So let's go to Seattle. We'll bring the Supersonics back. We'll call them something stupid. And this team is Ben Simmons, James Harden, Kyrie Irving.
You gonna put KD on it? KD,
yeah. Well, no.
Opted out of a few places.
You got to pass
the Nets West.
You got to pass the nut job test. I want this to be the malcontents of the 2020s in basketball. And we'll put what's his name from the Memphis who can't keep his mouth shut. Dylan Brooks will be on that team as well. And then their captain will be Draymond Green. That's that. Let's just make it fun. Come on. And every game played at their stadium is 1990s NBA rules, just at that stadium. And they
win the championship. And they win
So the Seattle Malcontents.
That's right. Yeah, the Seattle Malcontents. Yeah, these Seattle conspirators.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Let's mix it up a little bit.
Mix it up.
All
right. Anyway, that's all I got.
All right. Those
are my things.
We good?
Yep. I got my things.
Your thoughts out. We're good to go.
I like that as a new segment. Those are my things.
I'm working
those are my things. Those are my things.
I'm working on a theme song, actually.
I don't know about you, but those are my things. We'll see.
Those are my things. Those are my things. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Those Are My Things podcast.
I have to try and bring something to
those are my things segment to get on with.
That's his things. That's his things. Those are my things.
I got my things. He's got his things, and we got our things.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
We all got our things. Until next week.
See you next week with some more things.
You do your thing.
Yeah, there you go. All right. On that note, we will wrap the show up for today with these things. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with a video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on our brand new host, Spreaker, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher for another 2 hours and 20 minutes. Google Podcasts, they're closing up the site at midnight tonight. Midnight tomorrow night. So you got another day. You got 26 hours and 20 minutes.
Stitch it on up.
So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and some brand new platforms. Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, and Podchaser. And to be quite honest with you, many others too. Pretty much any podcast forum you can find to get on with the podcast. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Watch a lot of sports. We'll be starting next week after the fun show. We'll be posting our picks for our kicking off our Beaten by the Coin. So that's going to be fun. Kicking off a 4th season of Beaten by the Coin. And we will talk to you soon, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.
Those are my things.
He's got his things.
Look at the little Tula. She's